Hello everyone, this is my first attempt at doing my reviews live in a video. So bear with me if there are technical problems, it's a big voyage of discovery for me. So these are the new titles for October 2017. Let's get started in no particular order. Okay, so first I've got Sleeping Beauty. This is an addition to the series that already has Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast and Little Red Riding Hood. It has the same exquisite cutouts, beautiful, intricate, I wish I could, yeah, can you see that? Beautiful, intricate shapes, laser cut. That's why they're a little more expensive than some of the other board books, simply because of the technology. Beautiful classic fairy tale in its original form, and often teachers in particular and many parents are glad to see fairy tales in their original true form. Had somebody at a book fair just the other day who said, "Oh yes, we did buy your Little Mermaid. It has such a strange ending. It was very weird. We didn't like it." I had to say to her, well, it was the original. It was the actual story. It wasn't the Disney version, right? You do know they have nothing to do with the original stories. She was so intrigued that she decided to go back and reread it because she simply hadn't realised that. But a lot of teachers are saying to me these days, "Oh, I'm so glad you do the original stories," because all the kids seem to know these days are the fractured fairy tales, which were fine when people were so bored with the old tales and they wanted something a bit different, a bit new, a thought-provoking twist on the fairy tale. But now all they know is the weird alternate versions, and they actually don't know the source material. So teachers are very much going back to basics and starting with the originals again. We've got a couple of new colouring books. Dragons is a topic I often get asked about. Whoops, it's actually quite hard to coordinate yourself and make sure that the picture is filming what you want to show. As you can see, the background is coloured in because that's boring to do. Kids don't really like doing loads of big spaces of background colouring, so they stick to the bits that are interesting to colour. So we've got dragons and we've got fairies, and they're printed on very nice quality paper, so you can use markers on these and they won't bleed through. Please excuse the background noises. The chances of doing anything in my household without cats making, I think that's one guy trying to eat or lick the inside of a can, probably an empty can, but excuse me, that's my life. Anyway, here is a new sticker dolly dressing. This is Horse Show. There are lots of horsey kids around, and the riding stables that is also in this series, always a good seller for me at school book fairs. So they're going off doing competitions at the horse show, including dressage and little jumps and different types of races, and of course you've got the stickers to go in. And this is, you know, a brand new title, and it's in the reusable sticker version. What you're missing is Rachel crawling around the floor, out of shot, to silently, it's okay, don't worry, just silently part Smudge from his trophy empty can. Anyway, amazing activity book. This is a new version. Oh, I forgot to go and see if I had a copy of the old version, but it used to be called the Boys Activity Book, and they are trying to remove all gender specific references from the covers of books. Because it's limiting, let's face it. Why would girls not be into science and robots and paper planes and so on? Boys are less versatile and tend not to like fairies and princesses, but that's their problem. So it's not changed the book in any way, it's simply removed the reference to boys or girls. Lots of different activities. I don't think I can show that to you very well on a screen, what the can't even do it without tilting it. But, you know, there's doodling, there's puzzles, there's word searches, there's observation, there's logic. They're all great for building up solid skills of observation, language, and so on with kids. Now, this is a beauty. there have been 9 titles in this series for almost as long as I've been with Usborne, and they were all available in paperback version, and then they reformatted them into this hardcover version, which is consistent with Young Reading Level 3, but it's twice as long as any of the Young Reading Level 3 books. So the series is meant for building stamina, reading stamina, in kids who are already pretty confident readers. Always been popular. Kids love series. They buy love series because if they buy one and they love it, they'll collect the lot. There have always been 9, and we've now got 9 out in the new hardcover edition, but now we have 10 because, as they told us at convention last year, apparently in the bottom of a drawer somewhere they found the manuscript for a 10th unpublished Sandy Lane Stables. If I were the author, Michelle Bates, I think I'd have wondered what they did with my 10th finished novel, but who knows what the mechanics of that were. Anyway, it's a brand new, previously unpublished Sandy Lane Stables story. Creative Writer's Handbook. Now this looks like those little journal books that you can buy. It has a little elastic band to keep the pages closed. Unlike the other creative writing things that we've had, this is not meant for writing in. It is a resource book, and it deals with the topics that a young creative writer would need to cover, such as ideas. Where do you get your ideas from? What is your inspiration? Getting ideas from the news, from everyday life, from experience, hopes and dreams, and so on. Planning. You need a summary, you need a story arc, you need plot devices, you need settings, character types, and so on. Writing stories, you need openers, you need endings, you need action and dialogue and description and so on. And they've got resource pages on all of these different topics. They've also got a section about poetry and song and about non-fiction and rules and word lists, so editing, grammar, punctuation, and then a little bit, almost of a thesaurus at the end, where it gives you, for instance, detective words. I'm not finding it in a hurry here now, but oh yes, science fiction words, fantasy words, and so on. So just a little bit of a thesaurus and those sorts of word lists, as I've always said about the illustrated thesaurus, can be great story starters. So I think that's beautiful. I've ordered in a few of those for my school book fairs. I would predict that teachers will also love it as a resource book. Now, there's a whole slew of new picture books this month. We have Titanic, and we've got First World War, we've got Second World War, we've got Pompeii, and we've got Kings and Queens. Now, these are actually not really new titles. They have been available previously in this older version, the flexible softcover sticker book version. And in these, there's loads of information, but wherever you see a picture, there's a beautiful sticker right at the back. There is, there we are. Those stickers would be inserted to put together the illustrations. I found these to be problematic because parents have a tendency at school book fairs certainly to go to their kids, no, you can't have that, you've got to have a proper reading book. There's loads of reading and loads of information in these, but it's like there's a divide in people's minds. Fun books, information books. These were always an attempt to make information books more fun, but they don't seem to be striking the right chord with parents who don't seem to get that. So it is what it is, so then you tweak it to make it appealing in different ways. So now here you are, hardcover. You'll see there, I'm holding those side by side. So one is very, come out a picture, there we are. You can see one is slightly larger. The old sticker book version is very slightly larger. But basically, same book, exactly the same book, but now the illustrations are already in place. My bestseller, this was a pretty good seller, a standout actually. I think the topic Titanic overrides any qualms about stickers. So this one I would suspect will sell very well. I would think the two World Wars ones will as well. So yeah, nice update. Sometimes they'll just tweak something to try and give it a new lease of life. Now there are two more here along those lines, and I'm a bit more mystified about these. We'll have to see. There are two new titles. My very first book of our world, or our world book, my very first dinosaurs book. They are essentially exactly the same as the existing. This is the title in the one with the card pages, right? I love to use these. I call them transition books, books for kids who aren't quite ready for paper pages, but who want a higher level of information. And I often will just jiggle them up and down like that at a party to demonstrate how robust they are in that respect. These new books are exactly the same. The only difference, it's a hardcover book with paper pages, and the only difference in terms of content is that it's got a title page like that, and at the back it's got an index which makes it suitable as a reference book. Now I can see where I'm going to sell this in schools and so on, but I have yet to work out what the angle is on this one. So if anybody's got any good ideas, I think the transition books were excellent. So I'm not sure why the two versions. There we are. I don't have all of the answers all of the time, but I would guess that you'll see all of the rest of that my very first series coming back in the newer version. Now, we've also got a nice addition. Oh, what did I do with it? Okay, I've got everything here except for the new thesaurus. I dare say it will pop up in a moment. Oh no, here it is. Right, there we are. That's the new title, and I'd got all sorts of supporting books here to show you a bit more about it. First Illustrated Thesaurus. It's designed for the youngest writers, the ones who are just learning to write creative writing stories. Like a bunch of our other series, of these really reference series, it comes in 3 levels. So just as we have in the math range, we've got the first illustrated math dictionary, the junior math dictionary, and the illustrated dictionary of maths, all of which are aimed at different age groups. First is sort of preschool to early elementary, junior is upper elementary and into the beginning of junior high, and then the dictionary, the full dictionary of math, is junior high and up into high school grades. So they cover the same basic topic but at different levels. They do the same thing with the science one. They've got a first science dictionary, junior dictionary, and a main dictionary of science, which is aimed really much older. I had kids take that off to college with them or whatever. So now we've got the same thing with the thesaurus. We've got the first, we've got the junior, and we've got the illustrated thesaurus, which has been around for many years and which is plainly much more text rich. So that's the main one. Then the junior one has that sort of, come on, get in focus here, get in range, that level of word density. And the first has fewer words per page, more pictures. Oh, I'm not very good at holding these up to a screen, am I? Doing my best anyway. So with this one, it's very carefully designed to expand a child's vocabulary. It's got a mixture of easy words and more complex, sophisticated words. It's organised by topic for easy reference. So they'll have a page about all sorts of sports. They've got in the country. They've got, I'll bet you there's a pirates one. They've got in the desert and in the jungle. And so the jungle, you see words like jungles can be dark, gloomy, humid, lush, noisy, steamy and swampy. Jungle trees and plants, coil, dangle, loop, scratch, snake, sting, and tower, and some jungle animals: armadillo, chimpanzee, gorilla, orangutan, python, tapir, tiger, and so on. So if you were told to write a short story about something in the jungle, you'd have ideas. They're actually story starters there. And at the back they've got a bit of a dictionary of different words. But anyway, I think it's lovely. I think it's charming. And there are a bunch of books like this, which personally I think every household should have as reference. In there I would include our World History Encyclopedia, the Science Encyclopedia, the Dictionary of Math, these thesauruses. They're just wonderful research materials, reference materials rather. Now here's another one that is interesting in that they are plainly doing things at different levels. You may remember last month we had a lift the flap measuring things, I think it was called, and I sold that at my school book fair the other week, so I don't have a copy to show you for comparison. But this is the same sort of thing. It's also a lift the flap. This is first sizes and measuring, but it's a much younger, and it's really doing things like comparisons, long and short, tall, heavy, light, and so on. And here's in the kitchen, and they're talking about more and less, empty and full, fewer and more. So it's vocabulary around measuring as much as measuring, you know. And here you've got which dog is longer, and you open the kennel and you see one is longer and one is shorter. So it's an introduction to the concept of measuring. Then we've got two more in the Fairy Unicorn series. Again, Young Reading, Series 3, about a grade 4-5 reading level, and great, I guess, for the kids who are into My Little Pony. I'm not very girly, so it tends to leave me a little bit bemused, but I know I sell them to the kids, so that's great. Lift the Flap periodic table. I'm a little bemused about this one as well, because I'm not sure about the match between the topic and the age, the format. I'm thinking that most kids who start to study the periodic table in junior high, I think, I'm not sure they're going to be as into the Lift the Flaps, but on the other hand, it is an introduction to chemistry as much as anything, and tells you about, you know, chemical elements, and I forget what it said in the blurb, this stuff about elements that you can smell and elements that do this, that, and the other, you know. So I'm a science teacher, and I would be all for it, because probably me, science nerd, I would be reading through all of these anyway. So it talks about things like solids, liquids, and gases, hidden elements, the elements of life, you know, oxygen, nitrogen, etc. So I think that it's a good introduction to classes of chemicals, maybe before you would really be of the age to be learning your periodic tables and the classes of them. This is new, book and jigsaw set. Now what you've got here, it's a beautiful sturdy box. It looks just such high quality, okay? I look at it and think, wow, that's a really good deal for $17.95. Inside the box you have the jigsaw pieces. They're quite nice and chunky. You can see the size on them. They're on really good quality card, and they're very crisp, and they fit together precisely, which is really important in any jigsaw, but particularly for a kid's jigsaw, because they get so frustrated if the pieces don't fit together properly. Now packaged with it is Under the Sea picture puzzles. This is essentially the same as the big hardcover Under the Sea picture puzzles book. But it's soft cover as opposed to hardcover, and it has fewer pages. So you will recognize the pages that are in there are page for page, you know, illustration for illustration, the same as the ones in the picture puzzle book. It's just, you know, some of the pages are omitted. And you might recognize that, where is it? This page here, does that look familiar to you? That's the artwork that was used for the cover of our catalogue this year. So if you think that the hardcover book is $18.95, and in this box you're getting about 3/4 of the material from that book in this book, plus you're getting a high quality jigsaw puzzle, 100 pieces, that's fantastic value for money, and I think I can really sell that box. What a great Christmas gift, eh? It looks like it costs a lot more than, in fact, it does. Here's another important one as far as I'm concerned. I guess I bring to this the element that I do mostly schools and education. So this is the art book about portraits. I've always sold famous paintings really well at elementary school book fairs. And you'd be surprised, but I mean, yes, kids will make a beeline to the old famous paintings book, and you know, the wonderful picture of the Mona Lisa on the front. Faces draw people in. You want to know more about the people in the portraits. Anyway, this one is the art book about portraits. It, like many of our beautiful art books like this, it's done in conjunction with the National Gallery London, and draws on artwork from their collection, and also links in to many quick links that give you far more background about them. So they've got, you know, portraits from different cultures. They've got different types of portraits, explaining why people had their portraits painted, and you know, some very recognizable ones, like there's the girl with the pearly earring, and there's I can't know, I'm terribly coordinated, Frida Kahlo of the unibrow, and they've got ones that you would recognize, you know, Tudor portraits there, and they talk about self-portraits and depicting fashions and how we can tell so much about the history of fashion. Just, you know, I'd say that's a reasonable read for a kid in upper elementary school, but would probably be used as a resource by teachers as well, because in schools these days there's a big move towards teaching art through looking at the old masters and using them as inspiration. So great teacher gift, I would say, as well. We've got a new Christmas playbook. It's one of the large format ones with sound buttons, and it's got all of the things you expect from our playbooks, with the addition on this one of some gold foil to make it sparkly and Christmassy. But you can see there's a window through there, there are finger trails to follow, there are texture patches, and on each page there's a sound button. Quite cheerful, Christmassy sorts of things. So yeah, it's got all of those lovely elements, and great for a child who's just about to enjoy their first Christmas, maybe. What does this do? It's plainly a flap. Oh yes, there you are. There's your tree, and there's your tree decorated. Oh, what fun. That's a nice little book. Ooh, on the Christmas theme, we also have the Christmas activity book. These activity books are great. They are so good for developing a whole bunch of skills. I used to love puzzles when I was a kid. So I can tell you, I mean, you probably can't see all of this on the screen, but you've got stuff like word searches, and there's logic. Where's the word search? That way. There we are. Word searches, logic puzzles, mazes, also what I would call math puzzles really, but you could call them logic, where they'll give you a bit of a problem, you know, if you've got 5 green dinosaurs and you know, if you can catch 5 green dinosaurs in 10 minutes, how many could you catch in 20 minutes, or whatever. Those sorts of word puzzles, math word puzzles. We've got a little children's holiday pad, which you could think of as being pretty much the same thing, but with simpler puzzles. Spot the difference, join up the dots, mazes, simple mazes, and all sorts of things like that. They're tear-out pages, so great for sharing out between kids if they can do a couple of puzzles each, taking on journeys, and so on. I love activity books. They've got a lot more to them than you'd think. This is Butterflies and Bugs Rub-Down Transfers. The rub-down transfers are there in an envelope inside, and then on each page you've got gorgeous, intricate, I always go the wrong way, gorgeous, intricate pictures that you can do the rub-down transfers onto. And on the opposite page, and I don't even know if you can see this on this low-quality webcam thing, but very, very delicate, beautiful, intricate drawings of butterflies and plants and so on that you would colour in. I think it says age 6 plus or something on the age recommendation. I don't think so. I think I'd give this to a much older child. One of those kids who's really detail oriented and precise, you know, or even to an adult. I know that my daughter, the graphic designer, has already ordered a copy from me. She says she needs one of these, and so yeah, very, very attractive, definitely aimed at older than they imply. We've got 2 new wipe cleans. Okay, so we had one a couple of months ago that was with the white cover and looked like very much like the other books, and that was really very simple. This is a little older, and this one deals with, hang on, no, I picked up the wrong one first. We've got one that's aimed at 5 to 6, and then one that's aimed at 6 to 7. The 5 to 6 one deals with capital letters, punctuation marks, and making sentences. So it has activities where you join up different bits of sentences, or put breaks between words and add punctuation, and what's this one? Some of it is just copying out words and practicing writing, or completing words to make them into doing words, like play, add ing to make playing, and so on. So teaching you a bit about the basic grammar of a sentence. This one gets into it a little further and does sentence types, nouns, verbs, adjectives, and tenses. So again, fun activities to practice learning those skills. So we're really beginning to work up into older age groups with the wipe cleans. I know the original idea with them was, they're great for preschoolers, for building up pencil skills and all the rest of it. But in fact, these really lend themselves to any learning activity that requires repetition and practice and doing things over and over again. They're also robust enough, and they really do clean up, so they're of use. They could be used in a classroom as well for practice. And lastly, I've got an art activity book. This is, again, I think, a little older than I think it was 6+ age range that they recommend. Loads of activities based on famous paintings. In this case, you're doodling in the style of Rousseau and the tiger one. And here, you've got ones where there are word searches, or there are things where you're invited to complete a drawing. This one's got a maze in it. Where's the maze? This is ever so awkward, trying to do it in front of a camera. There we are, there's the maze, and there's just a wide variety of activities. It's beautiful. I actually want to do it myself. It's very, very inviting. And again, even this has quick links to find out more about all this stuff on the National Gallery website. So that's my reviews for this month. If you manage to view this, then it will mean I solve the problems of getting it up onto my YouTube channel and all the rest of it. And once I've learned how to do this, the sky's the limit. So hopefully those were useful to you. I think I like this format in terms of being able to just pull in books that I need to refer to show you how books are related to other books or previous versions and so on. So there you go. Happy selling. Bye-bye.